Good afternoon. It's Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. Look at me with my beautiful earrings from Anna Veer Studios. This is the first time I'm wearing them. They're rose quartz. I absolutely love them. Yes, I do. Welcome, Toys But Nice and Miguel Music. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. Hey, Patty, to speak to Christina Caudill today. Hey, Ashley, Wings Astrology. Yes, yes. Okay, everyone. Here is Christina. I love our conversations. We're going to get into what's going on in the world today.
Hello, Celeste.
Hey, Christina. So nice to see you.
Great to see you. And I love those rose quartz earrings. Aren't those
Thank you.
fabulous?
Thank you. Oh, I absolutely love them. They're beautiful. They feel
Gorgeous.
good. And
I also wore some
I
earrings set too. You know, it is Friday night here.
I love it. Those are beautiful. You look gorgeous.
Thank you, dear.
Are you going out on the town with your boo?
No, Fridays are usually like unwinding from the week,
Yeah,
but
you just
I'm
want to be.
dressed up for our little date.
Yeah.
Our little date to talk about
Oh, we're
crazy
having a
things going
date.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in case anyone doesn't know you, why don't you introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Caudill. I'm Celeste's #1 fan. And also, I am an astrologer with Radiant Astrology. I have an evolutionary astrology background, but I've kind of really expanded that using several different techniques. And of course, I love the nodes and the outer planets. And I work with clients one-on-one. I also teach astrology courses. And yeah, and I have a Libra midheaven and Venus in the 11th house. So I just love chatting with with other astrologers about what's going on in astrology. I feel like, I really need that connection to kind of bounce ideas off and also to learn, because it's a continual learning experience
Mhm.
being an astrologer.
Yes, it is. I felt so stupid this week that I didn't call the shutdown ending with Mercury going retrograde. Mm,
Oh,
but it
wow.
makes
Well,
sense.
makes sense. Mercury and Jupiter,
And Jupiter.
stationing retrograde. I was like, when I saw like this big document dump, to me, that's Mercury and Jupiter delivering, right?
Yes, that's what I was. Yes, yes, yes. I've been so focused on this Epstein stuff. Yeah, I didn't call that one. So I shouldn't tell on myself that I felt silly and stupid. I was like, oh,
Why
well,
do you have to
Mercury's.
call every event? I don't know. I love your
And you
moon memos
don't.
because it helps me to take the temperature of the day, which
Yes.
is wonderful. And hi, twice, but nice. Thank you so much. She said hello to you, beautiful ladies.
Yes, and a Virgo moon. The first thing I said about myself was a personal criticism. Ah, I have a South Node in
Gotta stop
Virgo.
that.
Okay, let's scratch that. Delete. Okay, let's get into it. It's so great having you. I love that you love to talk about political things as well, and that you keep up on the news. Last time we talked about the MAGA meltdown, and if there's another, like, I think MAGA's kind of donezo. I was
Mm.
calling that Jupiter retrograde was going to be big for Donald Trump, that maybe even, well, and it's like an ego death because
Oh, oh.
they are so angry after he said they're not enough talented
Right.
Americans. We have to have the H-1B visas. And then he had someone who killed Americans in a war at the
Oh,
White House playing games, doing, I mean,
oh, I heard
they
about
are
that.
they are apoplectic.
Well, yeah,
Hmm.
because I've been saying they're like, he's no longer America first, because that
Yeah.
was their whole thing, or one of their big things. And I will say that I remember you called it when we had a little private convo at one point, and you were like, Uranus in Gemini, I see that as MAGA waking up, or like people like
Yes.
waking up from and also I don't know if it was like Neptune and Aries, also that kind of like that dynamic. And I was like, really? I don't know. They seem to be pretty deep. They seem to be twisting, they twist themselves into pretzels just to make excuses for all the craziness. But you were right. At that time, this summer, remember, that was the first real like MAGA meltdown, but it was like this awakening. It's like, what, I have been duped and all this stuff. But I also felt like, okay, well, then these planets are going to retrograde, right? Neptune back into Pisces, feeling that sort of powerlessness and wanting to believe in the dream again, even if you really know it's not true, wanting to be duped, wanting to be like placated and everything. And then Uranus maybe like retreating, from that sort of awakening to the truth. So I figured, well, they're gonna come back in line a bit. But now, even though we still have all these planets retrograde, I think we can thank the Mercury retrograde in this. Right now it's still in Sagittarius, but doesn't it feel so scorpionic that all of this like deep, dark, gross stuff is like coming out from like, that's been buried and festering is really coming out. So I think there's more to come because Mercury is still headed to retrograde back into Scorpio. So if we can handle it.
Oh, there's more to come. I can barely keep up. But I feel like, okay, so in September, we had 2 eclipses, which opened a 6-month cycle. And the first one was that lunar eclipse in Pisces, and it was conjunct Saturn. So I really feel like there's so much about this next couple of months that's very Saturnian. And then we have the solar eclipse in Virgo, opposite Saturn and Pisces. And Virgo counts and holds people accountable. And it's not just this stuff. I mean, there was a report that came out about people going, rich, wealthy people, so Leonic type figures going sport hunting in Sarajevo.
Yeah, something. Yes, Sarajevo. That is really horrible. I mean, we talk about like dark and just like, ugh, it makes you just shocked and just horrified. And they got extra points or had to pay
They
extra
paid more for
children.
children.
For children. And like, I just was like, are you kidding? And supposedly, they were like, they were aligned to the cause and stuff. Or maybe they were just sickos that just were looking for some kind of sick thrill that you can't get anywhere.
Yeah, there was a novel that has stayed with me my whole life, a short story, actually, not a novel. The Most Dangerous Game, about when this guy gets shipwrecked and he lands on this island and he's like an expert hunter or something. But the guy on the island is bored with hunting game and now wants to hunt people. And it's this big story between the two of them where the hunter becomes the hunted, and it's really good. And this reminded me of this whole thing.
I mean, what's worse than when people get so bored by the typical human experience that they've got to find other things to give them thrills, like remember those billionaires that went to that capsule to the bottom of the ocean and stuff, and then
the Titan
and the Titan thing, and remember people
the Titan
nobody had any sympathy for them. I'm sorry, I mean they are human beings, whatever, but it's like people were like, what are you thinking, like what is just like ordinary life not thrilling enough for you? You gotta go to the bottom of the ocean or to Mars. Or whatever. That's why, the more of these billionaires we have, that have so much wealth and so much money, they're not interested, like it seems like a lot of them aren't interested in, building museums and libraries or helping, save the climate or this and that. No, they need to find that next thrill. So that's kind of a disturbing trend, I think. And maybe we'll see more of it as we get more of this, air energy with Pluto and
yeah, I've never heard a thing about what is the Amazon guy, Bezos, what has he done to make the life better for people?
I haven't heard of any positive.
I haven't heard of anything. We know the muskrat doesn't do anything. Yeah, good point. Yes. And then they get mad when women are donating. Like I know people are really mad at Bezos's ex-wife for donating to causes that help educate people, help people with, yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I bet that's got to be so satisfying. And also, Melinda Gates, right?
Yeah,
She's
she's.
also on a mission to help
Mhm.
women, not just she also donates to things, but she's like still she's in the trenches, like working to help women get more board seats, working to help,
Mhm.
fight diseases and things like that, um,
Mhm.
which is really amazing. So we do have some that we can look up to.
Yeah.
Very
Absolutely. Yes. And there was something today about a dam in Brazil that was poorly built, and this is from 2015, that collapsed or whatever, and caused devastation. There was a ruling where the people who caused it are being held accountable. So this time period is a lot about holding people accountable. The solar eclipse in Virgo, and them having consequences with Saturn retrograde and Pisces. That I think this is like a big thing, that people who harm like large groups of people being held accountable with this
And
energy.
I had seen somewhere, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but it appears that Donald Trump is having a square, nodal square, right? So that's like a grand cross, like activating his nodes, which I think is
Mhm.
important to pay attention to when we see it this big, because, a lot of times a nodal return tends to be like pretty clear, especially if you've been paying attention to your south node or your north node and those stories and where things are like you're drawn to. But when we get the squares or the inverse nodal returns, they can be harder to kind of like conceptualize, because it's like,
Mm.
okay, am I drawn to the past, or am I being drawn to the future, or am I growing? Am I condensing? Am I being drawn to burdens, or being pulled to expand? Because that generally is like how these nodes operate. But when you are in a square, that can be challenging. That's like a
Mhm.
grand cross. And on top of the fact that he's having, we're all having this Mercury retrograde that we
Mhm.
know is going to get just even more intense in Scorpio. So, and also it's like for him, the North Node is transiting through his fifth house of children and pleasure and
Mhm.
pastimes and things, and the South Node through the 11th house, which is like the collective, which is kind of like all the stuff from his past is unable to be hidden, thanks to not just these nodes, but I think also this whole Mercury retrograde happening right now.
Ah, yes. Yeah, he's sure in for it.
Yeah, there's
Let
no
me see.
hiding,
Where are the
and there's
nodes?
no stopping, all of this sordid information
Yeah.
coming out. It just keeps
Yeah.
coming and coming.
Yeah, I feel like it's a crossroads energy when you're having those nodal squares. And it's like you come up to a crossroads, the decisions you make have really big implications. And him with trying to keep snap away from people, literally trying to starve people. I think that, mhm.
Oh, and then now the new headlines this morning were that the administration is now on this affordability narrative. We're going to make everything affordable now. Like, okay, you said you were going to do that in January, or even before, not even in January, for the election, and then they just
Mhm.
dropped it once they got in, and now they're realizing that what, that might be like possibly something to kind of save save the narrative, at least like distract.
I'll hold my breath for that. Just like the $5,000 Doge savings and the $2,000 tariff stuff. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll be so desperate they will send the American people a little change in order to shut them up and stop things. Today, I saw Christy Nome was saying that certain TSA agents from Ronald Reagan Airport are going to get $10,000 bonuses. How do you give one airport
Oh, I didn't
10,000?
realize it was one airport. Yeah, I heard it was certain agents or something, not even
Uh,
all of them, like
uh,
certain ones
the
who
ones who worked through the
worked
shutdown, like,
through
and
it.
showed certain. We'll see who these so-called agents are that get these big bonuses and what the unintended consequences of that is. Is it real? Is it just made up stuff? Yeah, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the other thing is what ended the shutdown apparently too was, we heard that there were some Democrats that, ended up sort of colluding and voting to end the
Mm-hmm.
shutdown. However, they were also promised certain things like, because what was happening though, which this is the whole art of the deal thing, like basically you take away things that should have been a given, like all of these furloughed these or rather these TSA, these federal workers who weren't getting paid. They were supposed to get paid at the end of the shutdown anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somehow I don't know if it was Trump or someone on the Republican, the GOP were saying, oh well, we don't have to pay them, so we might not pay them anyway. So basically, the Democrats wanted that back on the table. And then if they were promised having that back on the table, they would vote for the shutdown to end. But it's like, wait a second, that shouldn't have even been a bargaining chip in the first
Yes.
place,
How do you not
you
pay
know?
people who worked? That is just
So now they're
obscene.
like, look at us, we're paying people who worked through it. Like, yeah, you're supposed to.
You have a legal obligation to. Yeah. Well, gaslighting, this is also part of
Yes.
this stuff.
Oh,
Like
that's
the
right.
gaslighting stops working because Neptune moved from Pisces, which was like we were all in different ways in our own lives in some kind of fog, dream state, whatever. And then Neptune went
Willingly.
into Aries and the pixie dust expired and it burned up and we saw things in a real way, something about ourselves, about others, about the country, whatever became clear, I think, in the last 6 months.
And then I think that, and now Neptune is, back for a little bit in Pisces. But I think even though people, there's a lot of people who are kind of having nostalgia for how things were when all
Uh-huh.
you had to do was just believe the narrative. Like, even if there's people going through those motions, they know because we've had the experience already. We know where we're going ultimately. We're not going to be able to fool ourselves. I think people are taking this, okay, well, it's almost the holiday season. Let's not get too blah, blah, blah. Let's not. But I feel, in the spring, that's when all these planets go back, retrograde and go
Hmm.
moving forward again and everything. I know that's when Uranus will be in Gemini again. Let's see, in February, yeah. January, February is when Neptune and Saturn get back into Aries, and February is that.
April's Uranus
April's
going
Uranus.
back.
February
Hmm.
is the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in fire, right, in Aries. So I feel like if it does feel like some people may feel just overwhelmed and powerless, I think that will change once we get back into fire and air.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, we're 2026 is gonna bring it. It's gonna be big. Yeah. Oh, and next week is big. Let's talk about 20. I mean, there's so much to talk about. The Epstein stuff, all these
Oh my
dumps with
God. I mean, I was going to ask you the first thing, could you do anything but scroll social media today with all the stuff
I
keep coming up?
I have been so busy. I have not had barely any
Oh,
time
good for
to
you.
read this stuff, but I want to. No, I'm mad about how
No.
busy I am. I'm like
Well, I
behind on.
haven't been able to make it through all of it either because apparently there's so much coming out and that you got to like find someone who's like sifting through and making sense of all this stuff. I mean, I did see there was supposedly this client list it was a list of everyone who had like checked in at Epstein Island. But then
Oh.
I heard, and a lot of there was a lot of like Democrat leftists on there, but then I heard that didn't necessarily mean those people were, trafficking or involved in the sex stuff because it was like Lady Gaga and Madonna on there and Naomi Campbell and who are, it's just like, are these people guilty of anything
Some
or they just
people
come from
will
a
just get
party? I don't
get caught up in. Some people will just get caught up in stuff that
know.
they really didn't do anything, but will be put on the spot. It's interesting. Deepak Chopra
Yes. No, he
wrote.
was in emails. See, I think so. Then I realized I was like, okay, there's this whole document with like all these names, but what's important is the emails, and
Yeah.
what those emails say. And Deepak said, "Oh, Jeffrey, I was having fun until the party didn't end till 1 a.m." It's like, ew.
Yes. Yeah, someone did a great post. I reposted it about that 29th degree of Pisces, us being retrograde back there. And that's like Deepak
Shit.
Chopra is like this
Shit.
guru, supposedly spiritual person. What in the world is he doing hanging around partying with this guy?
And a lot of people, spiritual types online I've seen said that they were not surprised. They're just not surprised. Like,
Oh,
I think
okay.
because when you just get to a certain level with all the fame and all the money, then you just become like everybody else. You know, power
Mhm.
corrupts, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, if you
Mhm.
really were truly that spiritual, you would buffer, you would not be cut anywhere near Epstein Island. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly, exactly. Oh, Rosie's having a nodal square and your Neptune square. The Neptune square is something. It can be really like walking through fog.
Oh, let's
Yeah,
see. Or one of
yeah.
our.
There's the
I'm not getting
comments.
these. Okay, I'm not getting the comments for
You
some
don't
reason.
see the comments?
I
Yeah.
see the two beautiful ladies, and then that's the last one I see. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Nina is talking about what we're saying. Yeah, that there's no saving the narrative. Yeah, and he's trying to get the success of Mondami. Well, it's a big someone wrote a really great analysis, a spiritual person, about how this is, Trump this next couple of months is just he's just being stripped bare of everything and facing his karma and consequences for his
Ooh.
actions. Yeah. And like everybody's turning on him. He wanted to do locked Lauren Boebert, the woman from
Oh, I
Colorado,
know that.
in
Yeah.
the Situation Room, trying to pressure her to change her vote about releasing the Epstein files. And she said no, and obviously leaked it, or somebody leaked it about her being brought in there
Wow,
with
that's big. That is a
Mhm.
big, break with MAGA, with him and MAGA, because
Mhm.
I read that he doesn't need MAGA anymore. He's got so many billionaires all over the world clamoring, to be on his good side or whatever he's got. And he's already bullied a bunch of countries into doing what he wants for the tariffs and things that he doesn't necessarily need MAGA anymore. But this is the thing. He's got so much Leo and he's such a narcissist that he actually, I believe he does need that narcissistic supply to have everybody saying how great and wonderful he is. So I think maybe he doesn't need them politically, but he does. But then, he'll lash out and be like, if you don't love me and think I'm like fabulous, then
Mhm.
what's wrong with you? Like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the dynamic where things are headed, really.
Yes, twice by nice mentioned Bill Clinton was named. Well, we know Bill Clinton had some doings with Epstein, and there was something in one of the emails about Trump servicing Bill Clinton,
Oh,
which
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, oh my God, I don't want to see that. Please spare
yeah.
my eyes.
You know what's so funny is like then I would check like the legacy media, like New York Times and things like that, and I'm like, where's all this? And they're not really address. And I'm like, this is so sordid and it's so gross, but so Scorpio, like the worst of Scorpio, like with the light on it, the spotlight on it. But it's like it is the news, right now. I'm
Well,
like,
wait till Mercury gets back into Scorpio. So
at
next
the new
week,
moon too, right?
yes, the
Will
day
be.
before the new moon, Mercury will be enter Scorpio, or 1 or 2 days before the new moon, and oppose Uranus at 29 degrees on the axis of resources, power, and pleasure. What are we going to be hearing, seeing, all the things with that?
Because that's
And
going to be, because we'll have the Kazemi at the new moon or around those,
the day
right?
after
Isn't
the
it?
new moon, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's this opposition, which there's going to be something pretty extreme happening. It could be like, I wonder if we're going to attack Venezuela to try to distract.
Distract. Yeah, there's definitely going to be some kind of something to distract, to shock and awe, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then there's a new moon at 28 Scorpio, conjunct Mercury retrograde at 28 Scorpio. So it's the sun, moon, and Mercury. So we're waking up into something new on Wednesday or Thursday. And then there's the Kazemi, where the Sun and Mercury retrograde meet. And this is symbolic of asking the king for a favor and getting it. Yeah. So
Ooh.
who has asked the king for a favor? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm imagining like a mercurial type of figure, you
Well, you
know.
know what's happening? Somebody is going for the king. Apparently, Tucker Carlson is going to be having talking about what the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, on his show. So it's more like him coming for the king, trying to
You think
trying
he
to
might
be.
discredit it? You think he might like have
There's
some
a lot of
information?
inconsistencies about what the FBI was saying.
Ooh. Ooh,
So
I would
I
tune
got my
into that.
popcorn ready for that. I actually have literal popcorn. So we'll see. I feel like Tucker Carlson is going straight for the jugular. His son is
Well,
on
now is
alcohol.
it because he was such an ideologue with the America First? Like, is that it? I know I've been following Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's been going.
Mhm.
I don't. She's basically like a leftist communist now. I don't know what she's doing.
She
I
wants
love
to
it.
be. So AOC said, this is so Scorpio season, all the secrets coming out. AOC said that the reason Marjorie Taylor Greene is going for them so hard is because she wanted to be a senator and run for Senate, and that Trump told her, no, you can't. So I don't know. That's a rumor,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
because he's got the Kelly Loeffler in there, who's married to a billionaire or whatever, and yeah, they've already got all that the South all tied up with their people. So, that's interesting.
So that's why she's going for his neck. And now Tucker's coming for his neck. And yeah, the MAGA factions are breaking up between pro Israel and anti Israel factions. Or I shouldn't say anti Israel, but people who don't want to send all our money over there. Um,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
people who are truly like it's America
hmm
first. We need to stay out of like all these other foreign
Yeah.
wars and things like that. Oh
hmm
wow. But yeah, I do think that there's a crack in the I think that MAGA is whether it's a MAGA civil war, and it takes time to, when you wake up from the cults, there's a whole grieving process, there's a whole questioning reality, anger, blah blah, then maybe wanting to be back in it, wanting to be a part of it again because you're missing what it gave you, and then realizing that, if once you've seen the light, there really is no fully going back. So,
Yeah, lots of people are waking up. Even the most ardent faithful are seeing the light that, yeah, they've been had, hoodwinked, bamboozled, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Oh, Nina wants him to be held to account for the East Wing. People are furious about him tearing down the White House. Yes, they
oh
are.
my God, that
Talk
that
about
that's
Saturn,
just
Neptune, the White House being torn down.
wow.
So
Just yeah, the
symbolic.
actual structure, Saturn
hmm
coming down,
hmm
Neptune collapsing.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the tariffs coming for the Supreme Court, they may have to be paid back. Yeah, this illegal stuff they've been doing is coming to a yeah, it's
Oh, that's so great. That's good to hear. I think everything we're headed toward that February, the actual conjunction, because Saturn Neptune didn't actually conjunct when they met
yes.
last summer. They were very, very close, but we'll see how it actually does, when they do come together, and then it's like a waxing, like sort of
Yes.
the waxing cycle.
Well, maybe,
Um,
well, Russia's always very big. So Saturn and Neptune are going to meet at zero Aries on February 20th at the IC of the United States. But 0 degrees of Aries
wow.
is a world point. So it's really big for the United States. On February 17th, we have a solar eclipse at 28 Aquarius squaring Uranus. So there's that week, February 15th, the week of February 15th, big,
Get
big,
ready.
bigs that feel unexpected. Something very unexpected is going to happen where there's like a collapse. So it could be like a huge power outages, network outages. But I wonder if it would be wonderful if the Ukraine war ended.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that
or
would be.
Putin Putin could be in some kind of
I am
trouble.
hearing that, yeah, because the last time, I think it was
It was
Nick Dagan Best said that Saturn Neptune, conjunctions, they align a lot with, Russia,
Russia.
Soviet history and stuff, because, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the fall of the USSR, the last
Hmm.
time we had Saturn Neptune and Capricorn. So this could be, a major change. And I have been hearing that people, even not astrologers, but like people who follow politics have been saying that Putin is in a precarious position right now. So when you're precarious, you don't want Saturn and Neptune coming for you. That's for sure.
Exactly. And he's a Libra, so I mean he's not a zero in Libra, but it's
Okay.
opposite him. His days may be numbered. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
what
It's
else is let me see.
well, what are you
Jupiter.
thinking about the Saturn Neptune conjunction?
Okay, let's see. Saturn, Neptune, in Aries. It's interesting. Okay, so one of the astrologers, and I actually just interviewed him on my podcast this morning, so it's going to be coming out in a week or so. S.J. Anderson. He had said, I remember when we were looking into 2025, he was saying that the Saturn Neptune, when everybody else was saying like civil war and blah 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 with Saturn Neptune and Aries, he was saying that he was citing the research by Andre Barbeau, the French astrologer, that 2025 and 2026 could actually be like a really expansive and motivating and empowering. And I was like, where's he getting that? Because I don't get empowering from Saturn and Neptune. But he actually explained it to me a little bit today that the technique that Barbeau used was about all of the outer planet, well, from Jupiter, Saturn, and then the outer planets, when they expand and contract in terms of their closeness to each other. So like in 2020, remember how we had that multiple, not just Saturn and Pluto, but like Jupiter was in the mix and everything. And a lot of that was like a contraction of our outer planet energy. And that's when he knew that like the world would feel like contracting, and would feel
Hmm.
like oppressive. And now we're having an expansion of these areas, especially after the Saturn Neptune conjunction happens, and then they're waxing. And so then that's part of this expansion. And we're going to see that. He said July 2026, mid July 2026 is the most sort of expansive period. So I personally felt too, because while I can say that, I have Saturn at 0 Leo that essentially rules my sun and my whole chart and everything like that. But it normally is, Saturn's like debilitated in Leo. However, having this Saturn Neptune by transit trining it, was really empowering for me. I felt like I had to get into action. And it was, that when Saturn is like pushing you, it's not always that easy, but I felt like it being fire, it being a trine was a lot more like, I felt motivated from like an internal and external, that things were working for me too, that I had what it takes, to move forward. That's when I did the summit and everything. And I
Oh, I
felt
so
really great
enjoyed
about
the
that.
summit with you. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's expansive as well because of the mini grand trine where Uranus and Pluto are in a trine. So Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. Well, Uranus will be back in April. And then they're both sextiling Neptune and Aries. And that is my understanding is that what Barbeau thinks is a expansion of human consciousness, that things are
Mm-hmm.
available. And the crueler that these people get, the more they're driving people together. People are coming together in community, whether they're at protests, whether they're coming together to feed people because of the SNAP benefits being taken away, whatever it is, people are coming together
Uh-huh.
and I think positive ways, and we'll continue to see that. And local community is getting more and more and more important. And when
And
people talk to each other in person rather than just squabbling on the internet, it changes. people's perception of people
Yeah.
that they've been told to other by Russian, Chinese, whatever, North Korean bots online. So I think it's having
Yeah, because
unintended
remember for a
consequences.
while there during the 2016 elections or whatever, it seemed like because we're going in different waves with being online and everything, and it seemed like if you were online, you couldn't tell if anybody was a bot. You still a lot of times it is hard, but it was just all of these like bots that were saying all this awful negative things, and people were listening to it and buying it, and you would think, oh, no one's going to say anything if it's not true or if they don't believe it. And now we're a little more savvy. We realize that we can sense if things like aren't really, this isn't a human, or maybe this person has some ulterior motive. So the information flow, I think, is getting, like, you can't hide a lot of this negative things that maybe the people in power want, not to be on front page news.
And I noticed this week that, and somebody confirmed it, that Meta is pushing, like, I started seeing like MAGA stuff, but where somebody I followed had commented on it. And I'm like, why am I getting this garbage in my feed? And it's like they're wanting you to see it so that you get enraged or comment on it or da 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 da. And I'm like, I am not getting involved in any of this.
Yeah.
Don't bring that Twitter crap over
Well, it
here.
used to be, I know, because it started after the inauguration. I started seeing all kinds of stuff on Facebook specifically that was
Ah,
not, in my world before, and I was like, it's like all of a sudden I'm following, the POTUS and FLOTUS, and, I'm like, wait, no, I'm not following these people.
yeah, unfollow. Yeah, they automatically made us follow Vance and Trump, and I
And then
said,
I would hear these other
no.
things, like you said, these storylines and these narratives that were just way far to the right, that was not, anything that
Mhm.
was, in my consciousness before. So, and, of course they're getting, the savvier we get, the savvier these, the
Mhm.
technology is going to get to try to dupe us. But I don't know. I feel like that we made it through that first wave of of not knowing truth from fiction online, and now people are getting a lot more savvy, and also taking breaks from social media, knowing that you don't have to be on top of like every single news
Yeah.
cycle.
You
Maybe
can't.
just
I
take a
mean, it's
break.
so much. It's like it's too much. And sometimes you just need to unplug, and sometimes it just gets just too much. And focusing on what you can do positively, I think, can be really helpful. Like,
And
mhm.
I was noticing just like yesterday and today that it seems like every astrologer that I follow practically is sending out an offer right now, like join my
Mhm.
course or buy my offer and stuff. And I'm like, what? But then I realized they're probably like, oh my gosh, Jupiter is stationing, and Mercury, which also symbolizes business in traditional astrology, and Jupiter is like abundance and things, and they're stationing, going retrograde. So when these planets are about to go retrograde, we have this like intensification of them. So I think a
Mhm.
lot of, I mean, this is just my guess, is a lot of astrologers are like, I need to make the most of this. And also, when Jupiter and Mercury go retrograde, then they're going to be, pulling away their grace and their gifts from me. So it's my last shot until they go direct again. So, but what happens too is news, when there's hard aspects with Jupiter, or Jupiter is stationing, those are oftentimes big news stories, especially Jupiter and Mercury, right? That's
Mhm.
big news. So I often, like, it's interesting, when I had launched the summit that we were doing, the initial launch was, I was talking with my collaborator at the time about like, when should we launch this? It's like, oh, well, there's a Jupiter, I think it was the Jupiter Mercury conjunction. And I was like, well, but that also is, there's got to be some kind of big news story. Is it going to overshadow us? Is it going to blow us
Mhm.
out of the water? That was in June. What was it? But there was some, some MAGA something or whatever. And, but, sometimes you got to ride that wave though. It's like if
Yeah.
you want to ride the wave and get the attention, I feel like you got to watch out because Jupiter can overwhelm, and then you could be sort of buried in the in the
Mhm.
shadows of it.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much overwhelm that people are experiencing right now with all of the water trine and the emotions, the water grand trine and the emotions of the energy and what's going on. Oh, Nina's asking that is that the spiritual ascension we hear about and young people being involved? I think so in terms of like Uranus is in Gemini, a sign that rules young people, and then Pluto's in Aquarius like transformation of
Mhm.
groups or a collective. Yeah, and with Neptune, there's really interesting that Tucker Carlson has platform. I can't believe I'm talking about Tucker Carlson has platform Nick Fuentes, the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the Groyper neo-Nazi
yeah.
guy.
Now, it's interesting because, yeah, I was one of those people that was like, wait, Charlie Kirk was actually considered tame and moderate and not strong enough to these Groyper people who Nick Fuentes was like the head of it. And now he's supposedly going to be the next, what do you call it? The heir apparent, I guess, to that whole movement. And he seems to be 1,000 times worse. But you're saying that Tucker Carlson is going to be challenging him? Is that it?
No, he had him on his program. Let him
Oh
just talk,
no!
did soft through softball things at him.
Softballs? Oh
Yeah, this
gosh.
guy is really, really, really. He hates women. He hates everybody of color. But he's got a lot of Leo placements, so he's a little charming kind of. He calls himself a rascal. Yeah, but he's pretty hateful. Yeah.
Could be a rat.
But he puts out his ideas in a lighthearted way. And that Mercury Mars conjunction we had on Wednesday was on his Pluto. So
Wow.
he's like banned forever from YouTube, but he's getting lots of his star is rising. He's Jupiter's going to go through all of his stuff next year.
Well, that's
So I
interesting because Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the Virgo solar eclipse, which
lunar
is
eclipse. She,
the Pisces lunar eclipse.
the
No, I
Pisces
thought it
lunar
was the
eclipse.
Virgo. Because was it when I know we had the Pisces lunar eclipse first. Okay, because there were two events. I forget. There was the Pisces
Oh,
lunar eclipse.
Uranus went retrograde, and
Mm-hmm.
then the lunar eclipse. Uranus went retrograde in Gemini on September 5th. We had the lunar eclipse on the 7th, I think, and then he was assassinated or killed on the 10th, the day before September 11th.
Okay, the day
His
before September 11th.
funeral was on the solar eclipse.
I'm sorry?
His funeral was the day of
Oh,
the
the
solar
funeral
eclipse
was. Okay,
on the
okay. Because
21st.
I remember you saying, because we did you were on my podcast or I was on you or something, whatever, and
Yeah.
you said, as we were heading into it, and we had no idea any of this stuff was taking place, you said there's going to be a big event on the lunar eclipse. Because usually, we tend to, I mean, it can go either way, but, we tend to think new moon, then full moon event, right? But because it was a full moon eclipse first, and the next eclipse was a solar eclipse, you said these two are tied. That what happens at the lunar eclipse is going to be, continue the storyline or close the
Yeah.
storyline on the solar eclipse, and it did. It was
hmm
that he took, that whole thing took over, but it was also it created a void. It's interesting because it was like the lunar eclipse. There was all this emotion around it. There were a lot of people in grief. There was a lot of people in all kinds of
Morning.
emotion around it, and
hmm
then the solar eclipse is that void, and so that was probably it. That might have been like sort of that moment for someone like Nick Fuentes to fill the
Fill
void,
this.
or the collective feels like they need, something in that void.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's
Illumination.
stepping in there. Yeah. All this exposure. We're just seeing exposure, exposure, exposure. Yeah. Of things. Everything that's been hidden is coming up to our conscious attention, I feel like, with Neptune retrograding back and pulling back the tape of all
Yeah.
of this stuff.
And that last degree of Pisces, 29 Pisces,
hmm
it's supposedly there's a malefic star there that
Fiat.
Shiat, yeah,
Yeah.
which, can, and now it does feel like all of this is just like, ugh, it's just like gross that's coming out, and it's so overwhelming. But in a way, it's because it's, I think if anything, there could be cathartic because it's what people knew. And there's nothing worse than being gaslighted into, oh no, that never existed in the first place. Like, let's look at this, you know? And so it's the relief of that gaslight. The other thing that has been taking up a lot of news in the European press has been, it's the 10th anniversary of the Bataclan attacks in Paris, where there was some terrorists. They went to, I don't remember which one they first, but they were at some cafes where they just shot them
I
up.
remember that.
Took some what do you call
Hostages?
it? Hostages. And there was also, then they went to a music venue, a concert hall, and shot it up and everything like that. Eventually, you know, thank God the police came in and ended up, I think, shooting most of them. And I think some of them might have been put to through, you know, the justice system. But that 10-year anniversary, and what I've been hearing from people, I follow a gal who's a creator there, and she has a Substack, and other people were commenting there that, like, anybody that was there in Paris at the time it was so devastating for that whatever week period or something. And then after that, people just shut it out. Like, if there was any kind of documentaries or if there was any talk about it, they literally just didn't want to hear it. And just because it was too traumatizing at the time.
Yeah.
And then, but now that there's this 10th anniversary, that everyone, you know, that it's kind of like a moment.
People are ready to heal from it, ready to finish the morning.
And it's like, it's almost everything I've been seeing in the French news or the European news is about this, because it's like they're finally able, that's so scorpionic to me, you know, they're finally able to look at what they've been pushing into the unconscious, and, you know, what they thought was you had ignored, because there's only so much you can process at one time, right?
Yeah.
And that now is a time to sort of open it back up, and it's, you know, led to a lot of re-grieving for people. And, you know, so we're having our own, like, looking into the, you know, what was been festering the darkness here. And, you know, in Europe, it's a little bit of a different animal, but it's the same, you know, the nature of.
Yeah, scorpionic. These taboo things, death, sex, abuse, all these things coming to the surface. There is this great French TV show it's about a witness. So a woman pretends that she witnessed.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Oh, wait. You're talking about the woman who pretended to be part of it. Yeah, I know that one too. Yeah, I've seen a couple of different ones. That one's crazy. Now, I didn't see all of that one, but that actress is great. She's in Dix Pourcent. But yeah, she was like, she wanted to be part of that, because what happened was people became bonded to total strangers because they shared that same experience. And then, of course, there's going to be some people who just want to, like, I don't know, ride the wave of attention, feed off of all that. And she became kind of like a leader of their, you know, their little group there and stuff. It turned out she was completely
false. Yeah, it was a really good show on.
Okay, I got to see. There's HBO, right?
Yeah, I think it was HBO. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you could look it up, but it was really good. And now I started watching Not Her Fault. It's a show on Peacock with, it starts out like in 5 minutes, you know, the storyline. Well, actually 1 minute. And it's the Shiv from Succession plays the main character. Yeah. And she's a mother, and she goes to pick up her child from someone's house, and the child's not there. And it starts this whole thing. It is so good.
Reviews. So it's
it's good. Edge of your seat. Edge of your seat. My sister told me about it. It's called Not Her Fault.
Okay, on Peacock. Okay, I gotta watch that one. The other thing that everyone's talking about too, I've been hearing, is it's called All's Fair. The new show with Kim Kardashian.
On Hulu. I don't have Hulu.
It's been getting scathingly bad reviews. Like, really. And people are like, if you like to read bad reviews, read the reviews. because it's just like people are like they couldn't believe such a bad show could even be made in this day and age. And they basically said this one podcast is the woman's podcast. I love it. It's Irish women talking about what's going on, and they're just like, actually Kim Kardashian, they said she isn't like the worst thing about it, but she's pretty bad. They said that she's like expressionless, like her face just does not
She
move.
has zero talent.
They're like, how can she? They're surprised she can even speak. Like she can even have work because her face just does not move.
No
like,
talent. She can't sing.
No
she
talent,
can't dance. She can't act.
no charisma.
None of it.
But they said what's worse about it is it feels like the whole thing is written by AI. Like several people said that. It feels like Ryan Murphy was the producer, which I'm surprised because he did a great job with the Monsters series, the one with the Menendez brothers. That one's phenomenal.
Oh, I have to watch that. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I love that one. That was crazy. Talk about you need some popcorn.
Oh, Twice But Nice says it's the Botox. She can't.
Yeah.
Move her
They said
face.
there's no expression and no, and it's weird because there's other really Glenn Close is in it.
I know. Why did these other people? Oh, they probably just signed on because of Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, it's Ryan Murphy, but it's gotten 0 stars, and it is. They also and look up Jessica Simpson, okay, because she's in it. And at first, I was shocked because she
looks so different.
She looks so different, but apparently it is prosthetics. Thank God, because I was like, man, she had like botched like plastic surgery. I was like, oh my gosh, she has gone too far, but it's not real. Thank goodness for her. But that's another thing. I feel like with this energy, with when Mercury stations in something like Sagittarius, it's just so over the top. And what are we going to get from it? What I loved hearing the podcast where they were talking about reading all of the scathing reviews. It was just hilarious.
Like, Rosie wants to know what's the name of the podcast.
Oh, the podcast I'll listen to. It's called The Women's Podcast, and it's by like the Irish, the Irish Times or something like that. It's an Irish podcast, and it's their most recent episode, and it says it in the description. It says Kim Kardashian's show, and they talk about several different things. The other thing, because I know you keep up with your pop music, is Lily Allen. Oh my God, this is so Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius Scorpio. So Lily Allen, the pop star, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was a big pop star in like, I don't know, the early 2000s or mid 2000s or mid 2000s.
I remember, yeah.
And then she, she was kind of an enfant terrible. She was always talking about, maybe like getting into spats with other pop stars or whatever, like just fun, like kind of, the music. I don't know what her astrology is. I should look it up. But she just came out with her latest album. She didn't make an album in 7 years.
Oh, okay. Saturn.
Right?
Okay.
And she finally just came out with this album, like fully formed. She said she just like wrote it like in a few days. That was about her now ex-husband and all his philandering. And not only his philandering, but he had pressured her to have an open marriage. And the whole thing reads like you're reading from her diary. Like you hear like each, and that's also on the Women's Podcast too. And I think there was another podcast that they talk about. There's all the British podcasters are talking about this right now, but it's like basically, and people's jaws are dropping on the floor because she talks about how basically he said, if I'm going to do it, do you want to know? Because it's going to happen anyway. Like basically he is going to have to be with other women. That's just how he is. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess if that's what you want. And, if it means, and so basically it's the whole process. And then she finds out about one gal. And then she said, well, he was supposed to keep it quiet and he didn't. And they were out. And it's like it's like this whole story. It's like you're reading
from her diary, how Scorpio sees
so
it.
Each song, so the whole album is like a different song from the chapter of all of this. And you're just like, oh my God, it is like gossipy. It's just like kind of shocking because she lets it all out, like all the stuff that normally people do not want to share, but they only share it with their like bestie, but it's out there and it is, it is to this, poppy tune and stuff. And so I don't know. I think that it definitely speaks to this like kind of tell-all kind of energy that we're having now.
Yes, people are telling all. Absolutely. And next week, get ready. My podcast is called Apocalypse Now for next week. So we'll see how it shows up. hmm
Wow.
Yeah, this week was the Truman Show. And I think
Okay.
that was when uh, Laura Ingraham was talking with Trump, and Trump has a Truman, that former president. There's a lot of stuff Truman did that mirrors like what Trump wants to do. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Is it about
Apocalypse
Gaza, like
now.
rebuilding
So
Gaza?
you're
And
saying the apocalypse now with the opposition with Uranus is the something shocking.
next week,
Mhm.
yes. Is it? Are we going to war with Venezuela? Is it news about, rebuilding Gaza, that horrific, thing where they expect the U.S. soldiers to guard so that they can build a resort there? Is it, and they're supposedly going to be offering Gaza residents money to leave. And yeah, what is it? We know the vote on Epstein, the Epstein files is
The Epstein
coming.
files. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's
The other
next
thing
week.
I'm
Get
because
ready.
I'm
Rest
thinking.
up for next week. Rest your
Oh my
eyes.
word. And like the days before, they say the 3 days before a new moon, right? When we're in
Yeah.
the balsamic phase is
hmm
like the darkest. And that can just be, it can feel so dark and dangerous and like dread or something like that, you know?
hmm
So I would be watching for that. And also, and Scorpio wants to keep things hidden. But when you have all this other, Uranus and Mercury retrograde and things like that, it's the things that they say it's not the crime, it's the cover up.
Yeah.
It's like the more we you cover up, you're like they're digging themselves into a deeper grave. So we'll see how if that
Yeah.
might manifest.
Oh, maybe it should have been called the cover up. Maybe that'll be another one. Oh my God. Well, this has been so fun just chatting with you about the
Yes,
astrology,
it always
pop
is.
culture, what's in the news, what's going on, Mercury retrograde, Jupiter retrograde. Yeah, we have to do it again soon. I love it.
I know, I love it, especially on this Sagittarius moon or Sagittarius Mercury and Sag. Where's the moon right now? Actually, I
The
don't even
moon
think.
is in Virgo.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah, so
moon
we're
is in
sort of
Virgo.
sifting through all of the.
Sifting through all the details of what's coming out. Thank you for introducing me to Lily Allen's album. I'm going to have
I'm
to
going to
check it
send
out.
you a podcast where they really talk because
Please.
I think it's great to listen to, what you to listen for in the album and then listen to the album and it'll like make sense.
Yes, please send it to me so I can be prepared before I listen. Check out Not Her Fault. I also need to watch The Girlfriend on Amazon Prime with Robin
Oh,
Wright.
okay.
That looks really juicy too.
One other one too, I have another tip is I just started watching The Beast in Me, which is with Claire Danes. And she's it's very similar. Her character seems very similar to her character
Homeland?
in Homeland. Remember Carrie, where she was like, a bipolar and like stressed out, all this stuff. And I loved it. And it actually feels like Carrie again and there is all this dark twisty like this really rich neighbor moves in and he's like trying to control her. I think he's like a kind of like an Elon Musk type of character and things like that, and there's all this machination, so to me it feels very of the moment. So that's
Wait,
another.
what channel or what do you
I think it's
service?
on Netflix. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's called The Beast in Me.
I don't have Netflix, but maybe I'll get it when I'm done with this other
I don't know,
stuff.
there's so many channels, I don't know which.
I will never forget the first episode of Homeland. Watching that was mind blowing with her
I remember
spying on.
when the Brody or whatever his name is, the
Yes.
soldier, when you finally did see him praying to the Akbar, saying that prayer, the Islamic prayer or something, and he was, I guess you were like, whoa, wait a second, he really just did a
That was a
180
good.
there.
That show started off
That was
so good.
fantastic.
The first season was incredible.
Oh, I loved it all. I loved every
Yeah,
single
yeah. The
thing.
first couple of, I think it started to get a little haywire towards the end.
Yeah, toward the end, kind of got a little stale. Oh, one other thing. I haven't seen it yet, but there's that new series by the creators of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. It's called, I think it's called Priebus or something.
Oh, yes,
And
I have to see
is it
it.
Apple TV or one of
Apple
those ones?
TV. Yeah.
And it's gotten great review. People said it's like the best, most like innovative, like storyline, something, whatever. And you know that Vince Gillian or whatever, he's a genius, basically. So
Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time, probably.
it's my
So you know
second
I have to
favorite
watch
for
it.
me. Yeah, so you gotta watch. For me, all-time favorite show is Peaky Blinders, mostly because of the main character in it. You know, the guy that was in Oppenheimer. He was in
Ah,
it.
I haven't seen Peaky Blinders. I'll have to
It
check it out.
actually, believe it or not, that is my number one. Nothing comes close to it. But Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad is like a close
I
runner-up.
never could really get into Better Call Saul. I love
It
Breaking
took a
Bad.
couple of episodes, but I ended up being hooked. And
And so,
honestly,
I
I ended
love
up thinking
Saul, but I didn't like Better Call Saul. I don't know
did you
why.
watch the whole thing?
No,
Or no? Okay. It's one of those that you kind of got to stick with. But anyway, the
I
gal in
watched like four
Priebus.
episodes. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. So if you didn't get it by fourth, but the gal in Previous or whatever it's called was in Better Call Saul. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll check it out. I will definitely check it out because I love Vince
Gilliam, I think. Gilliam.
Gilliam or whatever. I love Breaking Bad. It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
think he'll deliver. I think he'll really deliver on this.
Okay, I'll try it. Okay. Well, so good
Oh, thank
talking to
you.
you. Okay,
You
everyone,
too.
have a good day. Everyone is
Thank
just like
you.
watching us just have a conversation. Wait a minute. Have a
Thank you for
good one.
joining us.
Yes, thank you
We'll
so
see you
much.
next time.
Okay, bye.